Welcome back to the Sound for More channel and welcome back to another tutorial and demonstration. Today I have the pleasure to introduce you to Elastic OSC for oscillator. Before I continue, I would like to remind my viewers to subscribe as it helps with growing the channel. Thank you very much. Additionally, if you would like to support what I do, please make sure to check the instruction contained in each video description. Thank you again. And please make sure to subscribe, to like and comment, because that is also to increase the way to increase the opportunity to actually win a copy when giveaways are provided through the channel through each different videos. Okay, so Elastic OSC for oscillator. As you can see, we are inside a UM, just a simple audio channel, and we have Elastic here OSC instantiated as an audio source. This is what it looks like. I don't know if you noticed, but more and more the recent AUV-free plugins and apps on iPads and in general on iOS are getting more and more busier on the screen. So there are a lot of controls, which is really good. I have, by the way, connected an external controller to Elastic OSC, so I can just use my keyboard externally to play some of the notes, as after all this is generating sound. So, and indeed, it generates sound based on the DSP code of Mutable Instruments, so Plaits, which is very well known in the Eurorack space. And of course, if you don't know, I suggest you click here on the cogs, and then you can go to the Plaits manual as well, and that will give you a lot of background on the internet in GitHub in terms of how it works. Because it is not straightforward, it's not difficult, but it's not straightforward the first time that you actually use it. You can see here 1 to 24, so 24 different synthesis engine into one, which is really good. So let's start giving you a little bit of an overview. So because you have 24 different engines, each one is different, so the presets that you can create are really, really good, right? But let's listen to some of those, and then I'll give you an initial understanding how the controls work. So click here on where it says presets, and it gives you access here to browse the preset. As you can see here, you can browse all presets, the user one or the factory one as well. You can save presets with a different name. I like you have an initialization here. You, in terms of option to initialize a preset, really good. And then you can delete, randomize as well, like so, right? Because that is really good. And click randomize again. Of course, you might hear some artifacts. It really depends on the synth engine chosen, and of course, the parameters which are randomized. As I said, I love that you can go back to an initialized preset. But of course, here on the right-hand side, you have a list of a lot of different presets, okay? Which is really good. And the first one, in terms of bass, you can hear straight away that you have an arpeggiator running. Now, one of the things that I find annoying is if I click outside here, it doesn't close the preset window. I need to click here on the preset name. Found that a little bit annoying. But then you can use here the arrow to go to the next preset, to the previous one as well. You can see that it's changing synth engine here as I move between different presets, like so. You can see, there you go, number 14. At the moment here it says a bass drum. Let's move to the next one, number 4 here, granular format. But still as a bass, right? I find that, well, for me, I love all the presets, but the one I really like are from the very bottom here, SOI from Sound of Israel. So they're really good, and they shows the performance of the synth. But all of them are really good. Be careful, of course, with overall gain. Check the level here on AUM to ensure that it doesn't pick. Here you can see that we have a chords engine as well. And as I mentioned, there are so many presets from Nutrix, as you can see. Red Sky Lullaby. So I actually, if I want to demonstrate the synth, I go right to the bottom of the list of preset and then I move up. Virtual analog, nice. String modeling. A lot you can do with that synth engine. Particle noise. Phase. Hi-hat engine, really good. Chord again. Oops. A modular resonator. Speech as well, FM operator, which is really great. Oh, you can create so many different type of sounds. So I really love the FM engine. Of course, as you move between different presets, you change the parameters instantly, so you might get a little bit of interesting artifacts, right? Or the noise, the level might jump up. So just remember that. So a lot to explore, of course, and as I said, you have such a big choice here, right? So. As I mentioned at the beginning, click on any to initialize it, right? And you go back to the initialize settings. Now, let me give you a little bit of a tour, right, of how it works. So here you can select the up to 24 engine. So we are on the first one at the moment, right? And we have a number of parameters which you can modify for each synth engine, okay? So, or act on, which of course change different parameters. If you don't know what they are, just click here on the question mark up here, and it will say here harmonics, which will detune. So this one will detune between the two waves. Then timbre, which you can select here. Okay, is a variable square from narrow pulse to full square or to hard sync formats. And then you have a morph, which is a variable saw from triangle to saw with an increasingly wide notch. And then you have an auxiliary output, which produce a somewhat to hard sync waveform, etc., etc. The normal output is A here, the auxiliary is B, and then you can have A, B together in terms of stereo field and A, B separated in terms of stereo field as well. So click again on the question mark to get that to disappear. So in this case, harmonic will detune. Timbre, click on timbre, it will come up here and the frequency will go up here. So that means the frequency will be changed here on the XY part. And now you can change the timbre here. Then we can go to morph again, set it down to 0. So we don't change the shape. Again, if you don't remember what it does, click here, morph variable saw from triangle to saw, okay, etc., etc. So you can, you might have to go back to the help, or you can, of course, go here and on the Plaits menu, which will explain how all the different engines will work and how the parameters in terms of frequency, morph, harmonic, and timbre change based on the synth engine. Of course, in this case, we have frequency here, which means I can modify it with the XY pad, and I also have harmonics here in terms of the tuning. So, and you can see the here, which is great, the number, and then I can detune it. If I set this to maximum and I go to harmonic, you can see it's maximum. I set this down to minimal and I switch here. Okay, morph go here, harmonic goes here, and it is a minimal. Okay, same on frequency, go up here. If I click on frequency, we'll swap with timbre, and you can see the frequency now here is a max. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. As you change engine, of course, the behavior of the 4 parameter in terms of what they will change will be different. Okay. I find it also very useful to, for example, have an oscillator here, an oscilloscope, no oscillator, and have that ready, and then you can check the waveform that is coming out from Elastic OSC. So you could say, for example, harmonic down to 0, morph down to 0, timbre down to 0, right? So you see it's like almost triangle, so right there you go, and you can freeze it, right? So that can be useful to actually understand how things work. Then you have a number of parameters here that you can modify, and those are quite important. They set right in the middle, the timbre, FM, morph, and the RGB color, because they are attenuators, so they can go positive and negative. And of course, you have a low pass gate, LPG, so effectively you have a filter and a VCA together. And here you can set the decay. Down to 0, of course, will not change the effect of timbre, right? So you set it somewhere there in the middle. Then if timbre here is down to 0, you want to go positive instead of going negative, as you can see there, right? Now you start to hear that is acting on the timbre, and of course you can add more decay. So it will go up and then come down based on the decay level, and it will go up as much as the timbre there, as much as the setting here for the timbre on this dial. More decay. Okay, that is how it works. Double click to reset it. Frequency modulation, of course. Of course, you can go the other way around. You can set these to maximum, and then you can go negative. So it starts from very low timbre as a setting, and it's going down to 0. So negative is going to up to 0 based on the level of decay. You can act the same on the morph. Then you can act on making the texture more darker or brighter. Depending, of course, on the different setting you have. You can hear it goes from a darker sound to more of a brighter sound, so it's acting a little bit on a filter as an example. Okay, that is an introduction how it works here in terms of synth engine, but of course as you move between the different synth engines, the 4 parameters in terms of what they change will be different. Then on the right hand side you have an effects space, right? So you can start with distortion. Yeah, where you can change the input gain and strength for distortion. Here your power settings, okay. Careful at clipping, and then in order to hear it, you have to set a mix. So, for example, if I wanted to have reverb, there you go. And then, of course, you can set the parameters of the reverb like dampness and time. Here on the XY pad and the stereo widespread here. Notice you have a limiter here as well. Then you can do the same, of course, on delay. I like the interface here with this cone here. So you can change the sync time and you have the level feedback there as well. And then you have modulation here as well, which is practically chorus or phaser. You can change it between the two here. You can change the feedback. Of course, on the XY pad, you can change the rate and depth. Okay, and of course, you can mix all of them together. Right, so underneath here you have a selection of polyphonic or monophonic. Then you have a traditional envelope, attack, decay, sustain, and release. More release. So you can create preset really, really easily, right? So let's set the sustain down to 0, more decay. Okay. Now, you also can have an arpeggio if you like to use that. Again, I like to initialize. So you can hear just the arpeggio. More release. With the reverb, okay, enable arpeggio, and then you can set the mode up and down, etc. Random chords as well, which is great. You can set the rate, which is already sync, the octave, and then skip level as well, and hold, right? So you can hold. course, you can also act on a skip. So at the moment it's set to 2 octave. So let's press on a C and a G. So I can say skip now. So you have more space between the notes and you change the rhythms as well. Etc., etc., right? Let's try and auxiliary output, alternative output. Pitch here in terms of pitch bend. Modulation here, of course, which you can act on. Oops. Yeah, assignment has not been done. So then you can go up and down here on the keyboards as well. Okay, so in terms also of parameter, AU parameters, lots of them which are exposed in terms of use of DSP. Really good. You can see DSP 2-3%. This is an iPad with an M1 processor. And try as well the combination as well. You can hear how it treats it differently based on the left and right channel. So this is one of those synths where you can spend hours and hours just creating or exploring different type of sound. Yeah. So, and of course, you can also record here um, the animation on the XY path. So let me show you. So activate transport control, right? Record. And you can see it is moving now, playing as I actually moved it in on the XY pad. So yeah, that's another option as well that you have. Anyway, so lots of different options, lots to explore. I will create more tutorials when I have some time. I hope you enjoyed the short demonstration on the introduction. And as always, see you next time. Bye.